Now that the latest installment of the Lakme Fashion Week, the winter festive collection of 2015 are behind us, it's time to do a bit of trend spotting. Like we were telling you, we saw some rich Indian textiles on the ramp. Weaves in western silhouettes were many. Banarasi, ikat, khadi, silk and mirror work all crafted into skirts, jackets, jumpsuits, poncho tops and blouses. Designer duo Swati and Sunaina's collection, Banaras Revisited, and designer Rinku Sopti's Tassels collection both brought the glamour of Varanasi into the spotlight.
A lot of designers keep talking about reviving Indian textiles, but I think this is the first time that we've got close to 100 designers and master weavers from across the country and predominantly Banaras who are reviving Indian textile.
This is definitely going to be dependent on weaving. Most of our collections so far have been dependent on embroideries. That's a shift. And it's a major shift because weaving is difficult, very difficult. You're designing on the loom and you're not designing on embroideries. So in that way it's different, but at the same time it's not chalk to cheese. A bride has to look lovely and a bridal collection is what it is.
Also, monochrome is a favorite among many designers. We see shades of blue, red and beige galore. Black and white, the other dominating theme on the ramp. And while asymmetry is not a new trend in India or abroad, we see plenty of it on display. From asymmetrical hemlines, to drapes, to collars, even sleeves. To flare it up seems to be the other big mantra for designers this season. We saw a flare cropping up in almost every collection. We suggest you retain those flared pants and palazzos in your wardrobe. Minimalism in makeup and hairstyles was seen in almost every designer's presentation. Even in the bridal show by Neeta Lulla, the avant-garde hair and makeup were missing. But away from all the trends, how's the business of fashion shaping up? Here's someone who would know. Tarun Tahiliani. His show makes a luxurious spread offering with a lot of separates like capes, crop tops, ponchos, tunics, capelets and scarves in vibrant colors. All of it inspired by Russian folk art and craft, obvious from the stripes and prints and gypsy elements. But notwithstanding the glamour and hype associated with fashion, how do the numbers add up? We get chatting.
We're trying to understand the business of fashion. Who better than Tarun Tahiliani himself to walk us through where things stand right now. We are at the Palladium Hotel and this is the Lakme Fashion Week. You have been part of it for a very long time, but one always wonders, with all these fashion weeks taking place, there is a lot of confusion in terms of what kind of business actually happens.
I think there was a lot of promise when it started, and unfortunately there was this split. So there was what became Wills India Fashion Week, which is now Amazon and Delhi, where I think there was more serious business. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, I think the really bigger designers have their own stores, so that doesn't need to be routed through here. It hasn't progressed to being this serious business at this level. It's run by boutiques of different cities, by wealthy women, rather than being a serious business. And therefore there's a limited amount of business. It's circumvented the week. The week's primary, certainly the way I look at Lakme, objective is to be a fantastic branding exercise. It disseminates information about new collections, but it's also that there's so many fashion weeks now that the average Indian is like, oh my God, what, another fashion week?
Correct.
And I think that the cachet, even in the press, has been lost. Today, I'm not sure, I didn't really care who was in the audience, frankly. I just did a show. I cared about the 200 cameras that were there.
Right.
And
that's important. That hasn't changed.
It's very important because this is a great brand builder. This imagery goes across.
But going back to 1987, when you set up Ensemble, business has really changed since then.
It's a huge industry. It's just not been channeled through any one thing. And it exists at many different levels. The super high-end, super luxury is small.
Right.
A lot of people aspire to be in there, but also it's something tragic that I've seen is that people who dress very well, when it's much more elite, now I feel the pressure to kind of wear and discard, this whole kind of new. So I feel that a lot of them are wearing worse quality.
Sure.
Things have also become very expensive. And what's actually happened is that there's a ready-to-wear which is dwindling as people get more and more into Western clothing. And then there's this very over-the-top Indian wedding market.
Which has been big and it just seems to be getting bigger.
Bigger, but there's fatigue there as well.
So what does someone like you do who's made such a huge business out of bridal couture?
It's not such a huge business. It's a very small, special jewel business, the couture. Our main thing is the ready-to-wear, which is stuff like this, and off-the-rack, bridals or trousseau pieces or evening occasion wear pieces. But it's also that the markets become very, very, very competitive. There are people coming out of the woodworks, and India has no barriers to entry. You can take 5 retailers in a garage and you start up. It's not possible in New York to do this or in the UK.
Sure.
And people still value quality and will wear less but wear finer things.
So which is the larger market for you? Is it abroad or is it here?
No. For me, it's here. I'm an Indian designer here. I showed in Italy. It went fantastic. But I felt it was creating confusion in my head. They wanted every neckline down to here. I couldn't cut separate patterns. It was too much.
Right.
You either go principally there or you go principally here.
Everyone talks about the democratization of fashion right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing when you talk about exclusivity, but explain to me how you see it, because I've heard you say that Pret is, can be luxury as well.
Pret-a-porter only means it's sold off the rack. It can be a 7 lakh lehenga. It's Pret. It's ready to wear. That's all it means.
Right.
In India, we've changed it that if it's cheap, it's Pret, and if it's expensive, it's couture. No. There are very strict guidelines abroad to be considered this or that. But anyway, the whole world is being democratized.
So it's still a price issue, isn't it?
Of course it's price, because the more you charge, the more you can do.
Exactly. How does it affect your business, Tarun?
Well, it affects us because we've had to look, actually at the top end, there's no limit, because the people who want luxury want luxury. The person who's going to buy that Bugatti doesn't give a damn, that you can get a Ford for 15 lakhs. I mean, they're not that same market. You have to be smarter, you have to design smarter, you have to produce smarter, you have to watch your costs. And that's what everybody wants. And you have to give them flexibility, great service, you have to be considered hip. It has to feel contemporary. Perception more than ever before is important of what they think your brand is all about. And there are many intangibles like that, and that's what the ready-to-wear business is. And it is going to be huge for the players who get it right.
And you're going to concentrate that much more on it?
Yeah, I do the couture because I love the pushing of the technique, but we do service. Now, at that price point, everyone wants to see me, which is not possible. Neither am I interested in seeing everybody. And the ready-to-wear, we're redefining that space. I want to do the ready-to-wear. It's much more interesting to have something very simple, and the challenge is much nicer, more interesting to me. Because actually I lead a ready-to-wear life.
Absolutely. Great luck with that, Tarun.
Thank you.
Pleasure talking to you.
You too, thanks.